Okay, this is going to be an instructional video for BogProg WebJockey StopSet programs. The WebJockey StopSet programs, you need to understand there are 5 different things going on here. Of them, we've got StopSets, StopSet items, StopSet files, StopSet triggers, and finally the overall StopSet program. Now, what is a StopSet? Well, the easiest way to describe what a StopSet is what it is not. It is not what is already in your playlist, your current WebJockey playlist. So I've got 2 songs here represented as a graphic waveform. This is one song in your playlist, and this is the next song in your playlist. And a StopSet, represented like this, is alternative media, usually short, less than 120 seconds a piece, is an entire group or complete set of, like I said, short files, short media files. And in this example, I have a representation of a sweep or bumper, and here I have an advertisement. And what happens with this WebJockey StopSet is it gets inserted into your queue automatically without having to modify your playlist manually. So you see how that becomes handy, where you make a playlist, it's your main media, and then you make your StopSet program, which inserts your advertisements, your bumpers, your sweeps, whatnot. And you don't have to modify your playlist. It just does it automatically. And since it's a program, a separate thing from your playlist, you can reuse it with different playlists, and so you don't have to worry about that. So, what is a StopSet item? Well, a StopSet item is any piece of small media that Winamp can play. This includes bumpers in any format that Winamp can play, advertisements, like I said before, and special pieces of media such as a near zero length file to interrupt crossfades with certain effects, or a line in a virtual device that can appear on a playlist that a special plugin can interpret to open a secondary audio device and play within Winamp. So it could be any media that Winamp can play, and typically it's short. Any media that has an output or has an effect. So a StopSet file is simply a plain text file. You can open it with Notepad and edit it directly. No special software required, needed, or desired. It's best to stick with a plain text editor like Notepad or Notepad++. You can use Microsoft Word if you wish to waste your resources doing so, but you have to save it as a plain text file, and it can only contain absolutely only the letters necessary to reference a file on each individual line. And it can contain 1 or more files. StopSet items. So each of these is a StopSet item. In this example, in this previous window, I have a single StopSet item within a StopSet file. In this example, this is a sweep without any advertisements or anything like that. And in this example, I have a 5-item StopSet file. We have a sweep, a break, an advertisement, a break, and a sweep. These breaks, disallow crossfading, just in case, so that your advertisements don't get crossfaded over through your bumpers or whatever. So here's an example of a complete StopSet file. Alright, and all StopSet files, no matter where you save them, no matter what directory you start Winamp in or what directory it starts with, it must always include the full path. Without the full path, it might work accidentally one day, but there's no guarantee. You must always supply the full path to the file. Okay, a StopSet trigger. So what is a StopSet trigger? Well, it's a combination of things. and I'll enumerate some of the items here. We have a StopSet Trigger title. This is how it appears inside your StopSet Programs window. So in this case we have the title of Sweeps. And we have its periodicity, which is probably a misnomer, but well, okay, we can live with that. And its corresponding interval. And we have a priority section with a priority value and exclusive parameter. We have a shuffle attribute, and of course we have our list of StopSet files. So as you can see, a StopSet file trigger, or excuse me, a StopSet trigger has many properties, and I'll expand on some of them here shortly. Alright, so periodicity here, we have an obvious none parameter. Of course, this disables the trigger from triggering and putting anything into the current StopSet queue. And then we have a parameter that says after every x, with x being defined as whatever value you put inside the periodicity interval box. So in this case, in this screenshot, we have a StopSet program trigger, and it will trigger after the start of every on every third non-StopSet media that's played inside Winamp. So every 3 songs, basically, our StopSet trigger in this example gets queued up. And then we have a priority section. Now, this should be fairly straightforward. Just requires a preliminarily in-depth explanation. The priority determines in what order, if more than one trigger is simultaneously triggered at the same time, what order does one of the StopSet files get pushed into the StopSet queue. So, for example, if we have a priority of 0 in one trigger and a priority of 1 in another, the trigger with the lowest priority value gets pushed into the StopSet queue first, and a priority of 1 later, priority of 2 later, so on and so forth. These are integer priorities. You can't have any decimal priorities. You shouldn't need to anyway. It's a good rule of thumb if you plan on expanding a more complicated triggering system for your StopSet programs, to increment your priorities by 10 or by 100. That way you can insert intermediary priorities later on. It's just a suggestion. Now, exclusive. Exclusive is exactly what it says on the tin. When you have an exclusive trigger, that means that WebJockey will not trigger any of the other StopSet triggers if one or more of the triggers are exclusive and they happen at the same time. So for example, if we have this StopSet trigger and we have another StopSet trigger for advertisements, and it's after every 5, well then after what, the 15th song, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly, when both the sweep trigger and advertisement trigger triggers at the same time, the advertisement trigger will have exclusive access to being able to be pushed into the StopSet queue. So this way you can prevent another sweep, for example, in this example, from being inserted into the StopSet queue after you already have 2 other sweeps, as in the other previous example that I had shown you earlier. So when there is more than one exclusive trigger, of course the lowest value priority trigger will take priority, and if you have 2 exclusive or more exclusive triggers that all have the same priority, well, the one that appears first in your StopSet Programs list will be the one that is exclusive and will, be the only one that will make it into the StopSet queue. Now for the shuffle. This has to do with the order that the StopSet files are selected for the trigger. So in this example, in this screenshot, I have only 2 StopSet files, StopSet Files, that are in my StopSet file list here. And if shuffle's turned off, it will just one right after the other in the order of the list that it's shown. But if shuffle is enabled, what happens is WebJockey will create an internal version of the same playlist and do an actual internal shuffle on that list. And then it will go one after the other in that internal list. And when that list is expired, it creates a new list, reshuffles the items. So therefore, this is a true shuffle. It's not like like the random function on some other media players where, it could have the possibility of playing the same item twice in a row, or it has the possibility of playing the same item more than one time before it plays all the other files. So like I said, this is a true shuffle. This is not a random, it is an actual shuffle. And this note is to remind me that, yes, I should say changes do not take effect until the next trigger. What that means is if you modify StopSet's trigger, it will have no effect on the current trigger. In fact, hardly anything has any effect on the currently queued trigger unless you have an external driver, like a script file connecting to the TJ port to clear and add more or take away, the current StopSet. So modifying a StopSet program, file, trigger, item, anything does not affect the current StopSet queue. You have to wait until the next trigger, whatever that may be, or if you do it manually yourself. Alright, so the StopSet program. As I mentioned earlier, the StopSet program is basically just a list of triggers. So to access it, you go to the main window, the WebJockey's main window, and you click on the StopSets Program tab. And you will see your StopSets program control interface here. And I'll describe this briefly. In this screenshot example, we've got just two triggers, a sweeps trigger that's labeled sweeps, and a trigger that's labeled advertisements. We have a load and save buttons for accessing the ability to create, store, and retrieve previous programs in a uniquely named file. And then we of course have the ability to edit, add, and remove triggers in your StopSets program. Okay, and if you haven't figured it out already, this WebJockey StopSets stuff is a hierarchy, meaning you have to have these before you can have these, and you have to have those before you can have those. So if you have StopSet programs, which is a collection of StopSet triggers, which is itself a collection of StopSet files, which is itself a collection of StopSet items. Notice here that I don't have just the word StopSets, because these things in combination is what creates a complete StopSet. A StopSet file is not a complete StopSet. It depends on the combination and timing and interval of all the triggers that you have inside your StopSet programs that will determine whether or not you have a complete StopSet or a finished StopSet according to your current program. And this, of course, like I said before, is influenced by its periodicity, whether it's exclusive, and its priority, the order of things that get triggered. So now that we've gone over some of the terminology and concepts, let us go ahead and start doing live stuff. Okay, so let's open an instance of Winamp with WebJockey installed. As you can see, we have an unqueued and cleared WebJockey playlist queue, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the DJ control panel, or make it readily available, I should say. Come on. The Google stupid name crap always slows things down. I don't know why they continue to do that. Alright. Alright, so you can see we've got nothing up in here. So let's have some fun and cue a StopSet. Or actually, excuse me, cue a playlist. And you can see we have a playlist. And you can also see our playlist does not contain any StopSet items. It's just the primary station media. Alright, so we don't want to have just our media, we want to have a unique station. So let's get to creating our StopSets. I'm just going to save processor time. About blank. We'll do a better job of that than Google. Okay. Alright, so let's go to where our stuff is stored. And you can see we've got some stuff we want to use. We have some advertisements. We've got some sweeps or bumpers, however you want to call it. And I think, yes, we have our special files for doing our special things with our special setup. Alright. So the first thing we want to do is, keep things organized, and we'll create a subdirectory, StopSet Files. So we got to start with our basic units here. And let's make a new text file. I call this s1.text. So we have our first incomplete StopSet file. So let's open this up, and as you can see it's blank, and you can see we need to put stuff in it. So let's go over to our sweeps, because this is a sweep StopSet, and let us copy pasta our file into it. Oop. Save it, close it, and we have a StopSet file. Full path file name. So let's see what we can do with it. Alright. So we're going to add a StopSet file. And call our StopSet Trigger, Call it sweeps. We'll do it after every 3. We keep it normal. Well, we go ahead and let it shuffle. Won't do much good. It's only one file. S1. There we go. We have a StopSet Trigger. We always have a StopSet Program, but we have a StopSet Trigger with one StopSet file in it, and that one StopSet file has one StopSet item in it. So let's see what it does. So I've just started playback, so that's the first one. That's song 1 that is going to start counting how many songs it will trigger a StopSet file. So what is our current StopSet area after every 3? So here we go, we do 1, 2, 3. As you can see, we have one StopSet item in our current StopSet queue. It is obfuscated, meaning the name is hidden. And we're going to show our current StopSet queue. And as you can see, we have it in. And as you can also see, it's not showing up inside the current playlist. It's only showing inside the StopSets. And it will do the same with the regular listener client listing. As StopSet is nowhere to be seen. So the listener does not know it is coming. Alright, so oh, that is just wonderful. I can't type. P-L-A-N-K. Yeah. Like I just left it. Oh well. Alright, so let's clear this out before it gets played. Clear StopSet. And alright, so let's do another file. File, new text document, s2.txt. And we'll do the same thing here. We now have another StopSet file. So let's put it in there. Blammo. So now we have two StopSet files that can be selected from. In this case, it will be shuffled, of course. And so if I didn't make this clear, just in case you didn't understand, only one file at a time when the StopSet Program trigger is triggered will be added to the StopSet queue. And just the order that they are put in is determined by the shuffle parameter, or if you don't have it turned on, the order that you put them inside this StopSet files list. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and complete this StopSet file list with some magic of video. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Magic. Okay, so now we have 8 StopSet files total. So let's go ahead and put them in our current sweeps program trigger. Oh. Very good, they're all in there, done. See, and now our sweeps trigger is done. Alright. Alright, so now for something a little more complicated. We're going to do our advertisements. So add one.txt. So here is our first advertisement StopSet file. Let's open this up and let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's just pick this one. And this one. So now we have an intro and outro sweep. And let's get our break in there. And let's get our first advertisement. Alright, we have our first advertisement StopSet file containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 StopSet items that will comprise, in this example, our StopSet when it is triggered. So let us put it in a new trigger. Advertisements after every 5 will be exclusive, definitely. And where'd you go? There you go. There you be. Oops. All right. Oh, stop it. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Cannot drop it. Oh, my mouse died. Oh, having the hardest time dragging and dropping. Finally. Okay. So now we have our first advertisements trigger. So let's see how it looks. So we have it triggered. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It must have been 1 previously. Alright, but so you can see we have a fully triggered StopSet. Oh. You see it? So it shows up here, and again, it does not show up in here or on the client list. So let's go ahead and clear it and complete our advertisement. Clear StopSet. You don't have to stop it every time. I'm just doing it to save CPU cycles, that's all. Alright, so let's do another advertisement and make this easy. Of a sorts. And we'll do, what did we have in there before? 3 and 6, let's go 4 and 2. And let's, of course, have a different advertisement media file in there. Was that like that already? No. Okay, good. Alright, so now we have our second advertisement StopSet file that we can just add to our current StopSet advertisement trigger. Alright. So now we have, according to what we have for our StopSet items, a complete StopSet programs. Oh, that's odd. So now, loading and saving StopSet programs. Of course, we like our organization. StopSet Programs. So let's save our current StopSet program. And we'll label it Demo. And it has saved our current StopSet program. And I'm also going to make an empty one here for demonstration purposes later on. So I'm going to remove all those And it's save it as empty. And it's good to make an empty one. Alright, so now we have two different StopSet programs. One is empty, one is not, decidedly. And let's just close and reopen Winamp so you can see that it's persistent. Oh, I know what, I closed it when it was empty. So, StopSet programs, load, demo. Alright. And I'll even delete or move it out of the way so that you can't find it. Move here. And you can see that the current StopSet program is persistent through sessions. But you really should save your StopSet programs anyway, because you might want to change it, and go back and forth between different kinds of StopSet programs for different kinds of media, if you so choose. Alright, so let's undo that move. External triggers. Now, there's more than one way that you can externally trigger and manually trigger a BogProg WebJockey StopSet program. BogProg WebJockey StopSet item. You can add it, and you can also trigger manually manually push a StopSet file. You can do this with the example web page. So you can see StopSet's program. I'm going to go to StopSet section here. Actually, I'm going to go to Browse first. So I'm going to manually add item by item a StopSet. So if I do a sweep, I'm going to do an intro sweep. Let's see this one that we haven't done yet. So we go to add StopSet item. Now if you look here, a StopSet item is not a StopSet file, and a StopSet file is not a StopSet item. And if you try to queue a StopSet file as a StopSet item, it will probably crash Winamp. And if you try to do the reverse, queue a StopSet item as a StopSet file, it will more than likely crash when it tries to play it. So be careful. Alright, so I'm going to add an intro sweep. I'm going to add a break. I'm going to add an advertisement. I'm going to add another break. And then an outro sweep. Oop. My mouse is being funny. Alright, so we got a complete StopSet here that we've added manually. And you can do it through the WebJockey control panel, or you can do it with an external script. You can also add a StopSet by file. So we'll show you that. So you open up our StopSet files here, and we'll add one StopSet. That's mislabeled, by the way. So that put in our singular StopSet sweep StopSet file. Let me go ahead and clear that. Browse. We'll do an advertisement. StopSet. Blammo. So there's more than one way to skin this cat, of course. So clear the StopSet. And you can accumulate StopSet items, so be careful. StopSet. So you can add a StopSet, another StopSet file, and then another StopSet file. See how this is getting complicated? So if you don't set your triggers correctly, you can get yourself in a bit of a bind. That one. So you can add to it over and over again. The only time you're not able to add something together is when you're doing it through the automatic triggers and there's an inclusive trigger. But other than that, this is pretty immutable. You can add ad infinitum any number of stop sets. So craft your scripts carefully, lest you jam your web station, your station with the billion stop sets, which I have done before. One misstroke key on a script and blue. Very annoyed listeners. Alright, so 30 minutes of stop sets, not a good idea. Okay, so that's one way to do this. There's another way to do this. Like as I said before, as you can see, I've got a batch file here. And what that does, I've got PHP 5 installed, that PHP interpreter. And it allows me to open a TCP IP port, which invariably will, of course, allows me to send WebJockey commands to WebJockey through a script. You can use Perl CGI if you like, or if you have something other script. I don't know if JavaScript, a .js file, will allow you to open a TCP connection, or if a VB script will allow you to do it, but I can do it with the PHP, at least an enabled version of PHP 5. So you see I got a batch file here, and it'll execute the command interpreter, and it'll feed it this script file here, rec.php. And that is, oh, I closed the window. How unfortunate. I'll have to reopen it. It's right here. So as you can see, it will send a clear StopSet command, and then it'll queue a StopSet file. So we use StopSet files add to.txt. So let's take a look at how that works. I will add a single StopSet item so you can see it in action. Blam. So you see it did what it was told to do. It cleared the current StopSet, and then it added a StopSet file. So in this demonstration, this can show you what you can do with a Linux machine hooked up to your local area network. If you have access to the cron jobs, you can create, if you're really good and really complicated and like doing this kind of thing, you could probably create a script to read the contents of a subdirectory, pick a file, and then create a StopSet file dynamically, and then add files to it as you desire from a selection, and then record what files it had selected previously, and if it picks another one that had already been so on and so forth, we're going to skip it and do the next one, so on and so forth, until it exhausts its list of whatevers. And then create that file dynamically, and then send it to WebJockey, if possible, so like on a network drive or something. So this because it's on a TCP IP port, WebJockey is very mutable if you've got the time and patience to create scripts and whatever and whatnot. Or if you just want to use the automatic StopSet program, that's fine too. But you can get creative with this if you really want to. So we could also have it being controlled through another external program that I made specifically for interacting with WebJockey. As you can see, I've already got a slick out program set up. I've got a daytime and a nighttime, so you can see it'll run a StopSet program. It'll tell WebJockey to load a StopSet program at 6 a.m. every day, and a StopSet program at 9 p.m. every day. So, like for example, if it wakes me up, and I can get to go to sleep at 9. So to show you how that works, I just triggered that manually. So it's loaded our StopSet program with all of our sweeps and our stops and all of our advertisements. Let's get that cleared out. And of course, blam, I just told it to load the empty. And like I said, you can do this with a PHP script, a Perl script. See if you can do it. I don't know, that'd be an exercise for you to find out whether or not you can do a VB script or a JS script to do it. Depends on whether or not you have access to any particular scripting language to the TCP/IP protocol. That's basically all that's required. And if you can do that, you can bend WebJockey to your decrepit little will. Alright, so there you go. Hopefully this video helps you bring in some better understanding into the nature, structure, and hierarchy of a BogProg WebJockey StopSets program. Alright, have fun.